X-rays, my next two guests say they can excuse me, peer inside a patient's body and spot illnesses that even doctors have missed, and then, in some cases, cure them, which is phenomenal and fantastic. Please welcome hands-on healer, first Henry Rucker, and next to him, Jean Egidio. I'd like to have both of you. When did you first know you had the gift or the power?
Joan, actually, I was never fully a healer. And about 12 years ago, I was the regular American person where I had 4 children, I had a business, and I was very happy in it. Then all of a sudden I got a phone call from a lady who said, "Gene, you healed me." And you got to remember, I was the original Archie Bunker.
Right.
It wasn't in my hand, it didn't exist.
Right.
So I said, "What are you talking about?" She says, "Well, can I come to your house and talk to you about it?" And I said, "Sure, come on." So she came over, and she was a lady in her mid-30s, covered from head to toe with these herpes blisters all over her face. And the compassion I felt then, I still feel today. And I offered her a chair in the kitchen. She started to cry. And I says, "What's wrong?" She says, "This is where I was sitting in my dream." And I said, you know, being the Archie, I was saying she's on pot or she's making a story up. So I said, "Well, tell me about your dream." And she says, "Everything you've said so far was in a dream." She says, "Other than you putting your hand on my shoulder." And with that, her head went down. And I said, "What's going on?" I felt awful silly sitting there with my hand on this lady's shoulder. I just knew in passing, actually. And I asked her, I said, "What's wrong?" She didn't answer me. So I went to remove my hand, and I pulled her halfway off the chair. And I said, "What's going on here?" And actually, my hand was attached, glued, affixed, whichever way you want to put it. And I tried it once more. Same thing happened. So I just sat there for a while. Then my arm just came down. Her head came up. And she says, "Gene, I feel good." I says, "That's nice. You know, what was I going to say?" And a few minutes later, she left. And throughout the day, I was contemplating what happened here. So the next morning, the phone rings, say early in the morning. And who was it but the lady I had my hand on her shoulder. And she says, "Gene, you'll never guess, I don't have a mark on my body." So Archie kicked in, and I says, "Go see your doctor right away," you know, like he or she could do something at that moment. And then come back and see me. So she came back later in the afternoon, and she was as clean as your blouse. Scared the heck out of me.
That's wonderful. That was the first time.
That was the first time.
What about you the first time? Do you remember your first time?
It's hard to remember first times.
Were you younger?
Yes. For a healing experience, it came later. I was in the Philippines with Tony Apawa, who was the psychic surgeon.
Right.
And he said, "Why don't you come and help me, Hank?" You can call me Hank. And I said, "Wait a minute, Tony. That's not my thing." So he kind of looked at my hands and he did something. He prayed on them. And the next thing I knew, I was working on this kid that was with him. Now, in the Philippines, there's a group they call the Spiritista, and these people come down out of the mountains, and they were in a big place like a church gymnasium, and everybody was coming down for healings. And I was there observing. My wife was sick at that time, and I had taken her over to this Filipino healer. And he asked me to join him. And so I said no, but I went on anyway, you know, and my hands, look, they took off by themselves. And I didn't look like the hands weren't mine. And that's the way it is today. I never touch anybody, but my hands do things that I'm watching them do what they're going to do.
Can you walk past someone that's ill and just by thinking about it, kind of heal them? Do you know what I'm saying? Like Aisha said, you said, "I already took care of your eyes."
Yes. Well, you know, if you look around and you see people, I'm not a psychic peeping Tom or anything like that, but sometimes you're drawn to a person and you look at them and you know what's wrong with them.
And
it's
you tell them?
No.
Why
I would not walk up to a person and say, "Listen, lady, you got a spastic colon," or "You got a..." No, I wouldn't do that. I think the idea is that if you see someone who is sick like that, or who has some sort of dysfunction, I would just send a healing thought to them, you know what I mean? And I know that if I keep looking, if my eyes won't turn away, then I know something is going on.
Right.
They don't have to know.
Right.
I don't have to let them know what I'm doing.
Right.
So I'm just sitting this healing, and they may never be aware that something transpired.
Right.
I really don't care. You know, I mean, it's not an ego trip.
What about you? Same thing?
I'll
Or
give you a story on that. I was in my sister's swimming pool, and I looked up, and this lady's standing there, and I said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "Well, I'm the realtor that